What's up? Pretty nice.
Beautiful. How are you?
Feeling good, Mr. Marks?
Brown.
All right, so we're listening to Coal Creek Road by Dred Scott. Lowercase d, lowercase s.
All lowercase.
All lowercase.
Yeah.
From
Since I've known him.
Really?
Oh yeah. Just keep it lowercase.
I love it. Simple.
It's the thing. He has a book coming out.
Oh, really?
Called 10,000 Bong Hits.
Stop.
And I'm waiting for it to be 100% lowercase because it's just every email I get.
But are you being serious though?
Oh yeah. I'm here for the stories, folks. Yeah.
All right, that's from the album Rides Alone, set for release on September 21st. You have all the stories. Give me one of your favorite Dred Scott stories. Dred Scott stories.
Well, you know what? I don't get to see Dred Scott as often as I would like, so I only have a couple stories. But I'll pick the time that I met Dred Scott.
Okay.
And it's a very strange document. So I went to Paris. For the first time in my life, I traveled outside the United States.
Okay.
And my brother and I went to Paris. And as it turns out, Michael League from Snarky Puppy was traveling through Paris. And he said, are you staying anywhere? I can't remember the circumstances, but I said, no, we have a hotel in, I can't remember which part of town. It was near Montparnasse. And I said, you can stay at our hotel room. He's like, I'm not going to be until 2 in the morning. I'm like, it's okay. I'll just leave the key for I'll just tell the people that you're okay to come in, right? Needless to say, he had a lot of trouble getting into the hotel room in the middle of the night while we were sleeping.
Okay.
But I wake up in the morning to go out for my morning walk because fitness is a thing for me.
Dig it.
As of now. And at that moment.
Then.
And I walk by a guy on a cot, and I go out and I do my 4 or 5 mile walk around the Eiffel Tower, and I went by the War Museum and all of that. I come back, I knock on the door because I don't have a key to get in, and Michael League opens the door. And I'm like, hey, it's the first time we met.
He opens the door
for my hotel room, and I met Michael League as I was walking back into my hotel room, right? And I'm like, hey, it's really good to meet you. Sleep okay, so on and so forth. So we leave, and we have to stop. We got to jump into this, man.
What we got coming up next? Oh, ooh.
Yeah, let's just stop for a second. I'll come back to the story. We have time.
Okay.
It's an 8-minute song.
Azúcar by Mr. Eddie Palmieri from the album Full Circle, coming out July 20th.
And amazing. We're going to come back to it. I'm going to turn it back up.
Yes.
And I think we should dance. But I'll finish the story real quick. So I head down. I find out that Dred Scott is playing. He is just coming off of an appearance at Cannes Film Fest with Courtney Love. And he's playing at Ducs Des Lombards in Paris.
Sebastian.
So I head out. Michael had to go do something. I'm like, meet at Ducs Des Lombards around soundcheck for Dred's show. And we meet out front. My brother snaps a picture of me and Michael talking to each other. Later, it was revealed because we didn't just, it's not like now where you just like take a picture and then go, how's it look?
Selfie.
Right? We just, you take a picture and you thought you'd get it processed later, kind of thing.
I remember.
And Dred is in the picture, walking into Ducs Des Lombards.
Hilarious.
So I have a picture of him from before I met him with me in the picture, right? We go in, we hang out with him and Ben Rubin and have a bottle of wine together at 7 in the afternoon. And he tells amazing stories about being at Cannes.
Wow.
But he did a show that night and just commanded the room. He knew the room he was in. He knew that everyone was going to be looking for a traditional, non-confrontational jazz performance.
Sure.
And he chose to be confrontational. by bringing up the Rapture.
Jesus.
Because it was that day. It was like May 20-something, 2011.
The end of the world.
When the end of the world was supposed to happen. He brings it up and if you've been to Ducs Des Lombards, it's all dining seating, right? And you're paying 70 or 80 euros a ticket, I think, right? Maybe less. I don't know. So it's very proper. It's proper jazz, right? So he brings up the Rapture and how unfair it is to people if the pilot's Christian, then everybody else in the plane has to go down because the pilot gets taken up. He's just kind of playing around with the audience, and he runs into some trouble. People are grumbling, and then I watched him musically take all of the energy in the room that he had just sort of stirred up,
right,
and bring it from anger back to beauty. And I think that if you listen to Dred, you're going to find that piece all the way. He has a full range of the human experience just at his fingertips.
Wow.
On 88 keys. It's 88, right? It's not 87?
88.
Okay.
You're right.
And just, yeah. And you know, it's almost as if he's just born with the piano in his spirit or something. He manages to command all that, and we have this great new record coming from him. So that's it.
I love it. So back-to-back piano players from Dred Scott to Mr. Eddie Palmieri. There has a little comparison there, but maybe a lot of differences. Go ahead.
I would argue no.
No? Okay.
I mean, Mr. Eddie Palmieri will tell you that he's a frustrated drummer. He said that publicly, and that he plays the piano like he would drum, like he wants to attack it. And there are times where Dred Scott does that. And then comes back to that very delicate thing that the piano can offer. But Eddie Palmieri does the same thing.
I love it.
You know? I mean, there's maybe a little bit more structure in the time that Eddie Palmieri grew up, and the culture is the culture of big band and complex and detailed arrangements, whereas Dred is probably a little more free form. But I think they're still doing the same thing. They're expressing anger, life, joy, sorrow, disappointment, love, beauty, all as they just kind of pour it right out. So Eddie, I don't see much difference.
He's an interesting, individual musically, because I've just working with this team. I've heard Eddie Palmieri being described as the Latin Art Blakey, where he's like the jazz messengers, where he's responsible for bringing up all of these up and coming musicians, and not just like back then. I mean, for decades and decades and decades. I mean, this album has the roster is just crazy.
Yes.
But coming up, because we have a couple things coming up, right? So after Eddie, we're gonna play a little Yak Attack, okay? We're gonna
just jump right out of the thing,
right,
and over to another thing.
Well, yeah, because we have Yak Attack coming. We have Jonathan Scales featuring Shaun Martin coming up in the program. We have Aaron Parks. We got some musical diversity, and then we're gonna end with. I'll leave the ending for I'll surprise people on the ending.
Yeah, leave that
because it's a sweet way to end that. Eddie Palmieri, one word to describe Eddie. One, only one.
Oh, divine.
Divine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, life takes a little bit of a whole lot of grit. And determination and a little bit of polish. And to me, that's divine, Everything we eat, everything we do requires work. It requires dedication. It requires sweat.
Yep.
And he has that, and he just brings it to an elevated state. That's it.
I love it.
That's all I have to say. So let's listen to that.
Louis Fouché on the saxophone.
A young gun. Eddie told me a little thing about arranging. I'm just going to back it off for a second. He's saying his wife, he would write all the charts out meticulously and then he'd go to the studio and they'd play it, and they'd go. He and his wife would say, "No, it's just not there. It's just not right yet." And then he'd go back and rewrite. There's a podcast coming up with that where he talks about that. And he just, I mean, think about, I mean, how many people in the orchestra? Like a lot, right?
A lot.
And he'd rewrite it and start it over again. You know?
Oh my goodness. Mr. Eddie Palmieri. Next. Ooh.
That was a jolt. This is the part of the show where we sit back and relax.
As long as we don't dance. We got one. We got one.
Kind of messing with me there?
No, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Listening to Eye to Eye by Yak Attack from the album Safety Third, set for release on September 7th. I know there's a lot of crossover with Yak Attack and some existing Ropeadope artists that are already on the label. Can you help connect those?
That's real simple. So that's this is Nick Worth, member of Ghost Note.
Okay.
Nate Worth's older brother. And he got so busy with Yak Attack that he kind of drifted away from Ghost Note and had to go on with it.
Did he tell you that? So from what I understand, okay, so Ghost Note was coming up. They wanted to do another album from Fortify. So yep. they were working all together. They were putting together. So Yak Attack got busy. Nate got distracted, focused on Yak Attack, which really gave a whole birth to what is now Ghost Note. When they started adding different musicians, getting them in the studio, composing real time at the recording sessions.
It all happened pretty quickly, I think.
Right.
Of course, the time of like how many tours they had, and they needed to grab new musicians to put on the road.
That's right.
Yeah, an evolving piece for Ghost Note, no doubt. So Yak Attack is one of those things where it's very easy to say, "Oh, that's what this is." Oh, we're dancing. Is it 6 a.m. already? It
has that little vibe, right?
There is so much more. It kind of reminds me of prog in that way, where you can define it real quickly. It's like, oh, this sounds kind of like prog rock,
right?
And then you find out that there's so much more going on. So, the greatest part about Yak Attack, it's kind of like you can drop a song into a playlist at any point,
and it works.
This was a little rocky, but right after Eddie. But we wanted to show the difference and diversity and like.
No, I love it.
Although it's the same. Eddie Palmieri's doing his thing, Yak Attack's doing their thing, and just sort of throw that contrast in there. But you can you can listen to this working out.
No, I love it. And I
drinking.
I haven't personally seen them live, but just from all drinking and dancing and working out. Boom,
we
boom,
are
boom.
not advocating drinking or dancing. Working out, on the other hand, this is totally socially acceptable. So please, get some exercise, kids.
I would advocate for drinking and dancing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just speaking for myself.
I mean, I'm just saying. I would add.
What do we have coming up next?
I mean, much more.
We're gonna get another change for some unreleased material.
No, it's good stuff, man. The 2018 has not yet surprised me with all the incredible releases. And again, I'm kind of. I guess I'm from the inside out, right? But I think that the releases this year was incredible. So coming up next, we have Cry by Mr. Jonathan Scales, featuring another Ropeadope artist, Shaun Martin, from Jonathan's album Pillar. And that's coming out on September 14th.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's cue it up.
Oh, there it is.
So we are busy asking the same questions that those of you who are tuned in are going to want to ask. Like, who is that drummer?
Right.
Who is that bass player? What is this band, man? You know, we know Jonathan, we know Shaun, but let's get the production credit on this track. What do we have?
All right, so production credit, right? So...
So he's not listing it by track.
No, he's not, but I mean...
So this could well be Victor Wooten on bass or Mono Neon on bass. We don't know on this track.
I'm not 100% sure. You know, as far as drums goes.
Oh no, there's the track numbers. Yeah, we can figure. We have to do the math, folks.
Math. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got track number 4.
This is track 4. Yeah.
Boom, boom. They're both on track 8. I love this.
Victor Wooten and Mono Neon on track 8 on this record. So you can imagine that will just make the universe unfold.
I mean, Bella Fleck on the album. I mean, look at this lineup. It's just
Christian Scott, Tunde Adjua.
Oh my goodness.
Incredible record, but I want to know, like, let's get into exactly.
Reedy's on here.
Who is that drummer right now? It's Mason Guidry. That's the cat that lives right near here.
He came by your place when
he did
when Adam and
21
Kizzy?
Soul Sessions.
Get
Yeah.
outta
Oh,
here.
No wonder he's so confident.
Jersey. He was a humble guy. He had a good
humble,
vibe.
but definitely like he knows who he is. Yeah, man, that's amazing. Mason Guidry. That's funny. I would have thought that he would have been from Asheville, but I guess he just lives up here. And we don't know who's on the bass on this.
No, I mean, kind of sounds.
I'm feeling Mono.
I was gonna say Victor.
Really?
I don't know. We're gonna have to check the tape on that. We'll be in the credits. All right,
Jonathan, please help us. We need more detailed credits.
No, but right. This is.
Now we got another little. We got an announcement right now, right? Because nobody's heard that this cat's even going to be on Ropeadope. We're really honored.
Yeah, it's funny the lineage. So. I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but next coming up, we have a song titled Rising Mind by Aaron Parks.
Or by Aaron Parks Little Big, which is the new name of the band.
Self-titled.
And self-titled Aaron Parks Little Big.
That's right.
Which is a specific request.
And here it is. Oh, man.
This album is blowing my mind. Yeah. A lot of piano players on this one.
Yeah. I never heard the backstory though. What's the Aaron Parks Ropeadope? Where's the connection?
Yeah, I don't. There's not really much of a story there. I mean, there's a cat that I've worked with who worked with a Bad Plus. I used to be in the clothing business and did T-shirts for a whole bunch of people. The Roots, OK Player, Def Jux, Duck Down Records, and the Bad Plus, Reverend Al Green. We did a bunch of T-shirts for everybody and had web stores for everybody. And the Bad Plus is one of our clients, and they kind of stuck around for a long time. Great band to deal with, and one of the cats who work with them works with Aaron Parks and connected up. But wasn't it Logan Richardson that ran into Aaron Parks?
I don't know.
And then announced it on his Twitter. Or no, he did an interview. He did an interview.
And then let it go.
Yeah, and he's like,
right.
yes. Ropeadope's the blue note for the 21st century, and Aaron Parks is signed, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm like, okay, thanks for, we want to bring the element of surprise right here on this show.
Dropped it earlier. I remember that.
We love Logan.
Logan Richardson.
Good. Yeah.
He's cooking, too.
Great people to work with. This is a really exciting record to me because it feels to me the kind of record that's like, it feels good to start, but it's got layers of it's like I can peel these layers off and I can listen to this maybe 100, 200 times and I'm still going to feel something. I'm still going to learn something new.
Every time.
It's just, it's accessible and complex at the same time. So, but of course we won't know what category to put it in. That's what it is. Yeah.
I love it. So we have 21 Soul, we have live performances, we have radio shows, we have podcasts, subscribe onto the YouTube channel.
Let's break that down really clearly. So we have this show.
Right.
And we have a podcast that drops every Monday, yes?
That's correct.
Right, and it's going to be on Mixcloud.
Correct.
Right, and on iTunes and Stitcher if you can go there. And that's me interviewing different artists over the phone or over some
Skype or
technological device. Then on Thursdays we have this show, and then we're also going to have some live performances coming out.
Right here. Live performances right here in the Ropeadope Room here in East Philadelphia. Intimate gathering of, I don't know, maybe 20 or so people. I don't know, somewhere around there. And we kind of rearrange the vibe. We fit the band right here, and I don't know, the response has been pretty. People like it. People are digging it, I think.
It's a very intimate and direct thing, and we're gonna have it. The video will be out soon. I'm gonna cue this. I'm gonna let you cue this up because this is gonna come in hot. So I paused it.
Probably
we have sort of dead air here, but
no, probably.
Tell us what we're about.
Oh my goodness!
What's about to happen?
First of all, the hippest cat that I've ever met in my whole entire life, and that's not any exaggeration or fluff or anything. A humble guy, really, really cool, and you know what? All about his business, Mr. Tony Adamo. The song that we're going to be listening to is "Jazz on the Hip Side" from the album "Jazz on the Hip Side."
There you go.
Title
track.
Yeah, title track. Set for release in mid-September, September 14th. And, I think this album, this is my first experience with Tony. The essence of it. Mike Clark's on drums. The roster is just really ridiculous.
Oh, the jazz is jazzier than the jazziest. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But it reflects on how people interact.
Yes.
I asked Tony Adamo, and there's a podcast coming out with me interviewing Tony, and I asked him about how he writes and how he responds to spoken word, and he says he kind of writes out a structure, and then when he starts talking, different words come out. And it sounds better than what he wrote down.
I love this guy.
That was his response. So this is throwback and throw forward in the present moment. Twenty-One Soul. Thanks for listening.
I walked in a little jazz club off 125th and 7th Ave. Cold wind blew me through the swinging door. beer, peanuts, dark smoke, and the smell of times gone by, man. It laid me out like I was a hitman of deep frequency. I was in a mood to get down. Not just in the get down mood, but a funky, jazzy, get down high life mood that would shake me down to my bones. Now, how was that gonna happen? On the balls above the power fix, Jimmy Smith, Brother Jack McDuff, Julie Scott, and Larry Young had come from nowhere to find somewhere. On the ceilings were old, tattered, clay buildings, past